Ladies and gentlemen, join me in warmly welcoming our Center Director, Dr. Maha Lea V. Ramadan.
Of course, to our distinguished guest, Professor Yasuyuki Sawada from the Graduate School of Economics, University of Tokyo. He speaks Tagalog, so you can converse or interact with him later in Tagalog. To our officials and colleagues at INNOTECH, to our partners and colleagues in the education sector, and to all participants here at INNOTECH and online from Facebook and YouTube. Nasaan ba yung camera natin? Okay. Good afternoon, magandang hapon sa ating lahat. So here at INNOTECH, we see ourselves as a catalyst of innovation and technology transforming Southeast Asian education. And our vision by 2035, INNOTECH will be a leading force in empowering learners into the change makers of tomorrow. This seminar directly supports that mission and vision. Today's discussion centers on the Kumon method of learning, a globally recognized approach to structured learning at the right level. Kumon operates across multiple member countries and contexts, making it particularly relevant for regional dialogue. Its presence in different education systems allow us to ask an important question. Beyond implementation, what is the measurable impact? When a program is implemented across diverse contexts and education systems, much like our program that we implement here at INNOTECH, understanding its true effect becomes not only valuable but necessary. Regional relevance must be matched with credible evidence. The global learning crisis remains significant. Before the pandemic, the World Bank estimated that 53% of children in low and middle income countries were experiencing learning poverty, meaning they could not read and understand a simple text by age 10. Following COVID-19 school closures, this rose to an estimated 70%. In this environment, education system cannot rely on assumptions. Programs must be tested, interventions must be evaluated. This is where impact evaluation becomes essential, much as what we will be hearing this afternoon from our speaker. Impact evaluation ensures that education programs are not simply funded, but proven effective. It provides credible evidence on what works, for whom, and under what conditions. It allows policymakers to determine whether an intervention merits scaling, modification, or discontinuation. So it doesn't mean that if it works during pilot, it can work when we scale it. Without rigorous evaluation, scaling risks expand costs without expanding impact. The study that will be presented today by our distinguished speaker, grounded in randomized evaluation, illustrate how structured programs like Kumon can be assessed systematically. Such evidence is critical for ministries of education who we closely work with and development partners seeking scalable and sustainable reforms. For Southeast Asia, the message is clear: innovation must be accompanied by evidence. Impact evaluation strengthens policy direction, supports resource allocation decisions, and enhances accountability. It is a foundation for responsible education reform. I extend again my appreciation to our guest speaker for including us in his itinerary for coming to Manila and contributing to this evidence-based conversation. I also thank the INNOTECH staff, our research, knowledge management program, administrative and technical teams, whose work ensures that we always have a successful monthly seminar or more than once a month seminar. As we proceed, let us focus on how rigorous evaluation can guide effective scaling across the Southeast Asian region. Again, together, let us drive innovation for education. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to present our distinguished speaker, Professor Yasuyuki Sawada, Faculty of Economics, University of Tokyo.
Thank you very much. This is the nicest and warmest introduction I ever had in my life, including my ADB era. Thank you very much. And also thank you very much, Center Director, Dr. Professor Maharabago for having me today. And I'm really happy to share some insights, potential insights from my experiments we have done in last 10 or so years in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And although this, today I'm gonna share 3 already published papers and trying to bridge the consistent stories. But I think some insights from targeting disadvantaged children in Dhaka would have lots of implications, I believe. So this is a joint project by Hikaru Kawarazaki. Now he's a PD, postdoc at UCL, University College London. Minhaj Mahmood is an ADB economist working on the social sector, particularly social sector issues. Maeseki from Gakushu University. Kazuma Takakura from my former student, but now studying PhD program at University of Maryland. And so let me start by kind of reconfirming the broader background. There are 2 issues. One is, MDGs ended at year 2015. And as you may recall, MDG, Millennium Development Goal number 2, was achieving universal primary education. And actually, MDG tracking data here from year 2000 up until 2010, whole developing countries moving towards better school attendance and school completion at the basic education level, primary education level. However, in terms of cognitive achievement and test scores, actually not much change. Oh, sorry. Actually, can you do it full screen again? So this middle chart showing that change in academic achievement test scores. Basically, it's a flat. There's no obvious increasing trend. Actually, according to the World Bank World Development Report 2018, focusing on education, those who completed primary school education for the lower middle income group, more than half of the people doesn't satisfy basic numeracy and literacy. So that's why Sustainable Development Goals number 4 listed quality of education as one of the most important targets. And World Bank and UNICEF, UNESCO characterize this situation as a global learning crisis. And another big issue is learning losses due to COVID-19 related school closures. And there are global evidence showing that people and children are really adversely affected by school closure due to COVID-19. So how to address the global learning crisis? The academic literature, serious education interventions, wide variety of programs has been really rigorously implemented. Actually, literature is kind of crowded. Okay, particularly Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo and Michael Kramer, Nobel laureates of 2019. They did lots of different type of education interventions. Some of them working with the demand side, like a scholarship, conditional cash transfer program, or information sharing with the parents and students, how that strengthens school attendance and test scores. Other working on the supply side interventions, like school constructions, providing better didactic interventions and high-tech digital programs, etc., etc. So there are so many evidence has been accumulated, and 3IE, International Institute for Impact Evaluation, actually nicely compiled the evidence map. One unified consensus emerged from this rigorous assessment. Teaching at the right level seems to be really effective. Okay? So instead of a unified curriculum, unified teaching, customized teaching at each student seems to be function very well. And another evidence emerging is some type of nicely designed e-learning or digital-based program seems to function. Okay? And having this said, there are real-world challenges when coming to scaling up in a national level or a global level. Number one, teaching at the right level, you need quality teachers, obviously. And e-learning, stable supply of infrastructure, electricity and internet access very important. Actually, I have another project working with Rizal Province Depet in the Barangay Rodriguez, low-income communities. And we are working with local schools to introduce digital-based, internet-based teaching 10 years ago. But actually, it didn't work because Wi-Fi speed is so slow, and nothing worked on the internet. So actually, these are binding constraints in real-world setting when it comes to the scaling up. So today, I'd like to share with you low tech, no technology needed, paper and pencil method. No teachers is needed. Individualized self-learning program, so no teachers needed. Globally known as the Kumon method of learning. Okay? And I think to my supplies, Kumon method everywhere globally, so famous. But actually, Kumon people told me before our study, of current study, there's no rigorous assessment of Kumon method learning. Although market-based, Kumon method was so successful and penetrated all the global markets on market basis, without the government support. This program became very popular, but no rigorous assessment is made until our studies. So I'd like to share with you the first rigorous Kumon method of learning evaluation. And actually, we did a randomized control trial-based evaluation in Dhaka, Bangladesh, in low-income communities. Immediate impact we measure, as well as 6 years later, we follow up. So these results I'd like to share with you today. Okay? And 3 specific papers. Actually, the slide has a link, and these are open access journal articles. Number 1 is Economic Development Culture Change, Chicago journal. We publish main impact assessment to 2024. And 1 year before, 2023, we're focusing on the Kumon classroom. As I will explain later, there is some specific environment. Students studying in the classroom generate some nice peer effect. And how that peer effect function, that's a second paper we published in Oxford Britain of Economics and Statistics 3 years ago. And the latest paper, 6 years after the initial interventions, we follow up the student exposed to the Kumon method. Then we address what's the impact of the COVID-19. So these 3 papers I will explain. So one slide I'd like to explain what's the Kumon method learning. So this is a globally very popular learning franchise. Over 23,000 centers in 60 countries and covering 3 or 4 million students. In the Philippines, math subject and reading subject, 2 subjects offered in more than 300 Kumon centers nationwide. And Kumon method has 2 notable features. One is self-learning, so no teachers is needed, basically. Second feature is a paper and pencil method. Although Kumon introduced already tablet-based Kumon method, but basically paper and pencil method, so no technologies are needed. And in order to join Kumon method, by the way, I joined Kumon method when I was a third grader and fourth grader. I didn't like Kumon method, but I will explain why. And I realized, oh, that's the Kumon feature. So that's why I didn't like it. But anyway, Kumon, actually, before joining Kumon, you will take a diagnosis test at the very beginning. So each new entrance of new participant Kumon method, there is a very accurate level identification made at the very beginning. And then Kumon program supposed to provide a slightly easier working sheet, self-learning working sheet. That means everyone can get a full mark at the very beginning. Then you feel great, and that's the secret behind why Kumon is so popular and the kids really love to contribute. So some example. So this is the very beginning, one of the very beginning seed. So it's a self-learning. You are given this, and you just follow the green line and write down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's the one of the very first working sheets. And you can do it by yourself, okay? And then always there is an example, 1, 2, then next number from 2 should be 3. 3 leading to 4. Okay, so after finishing this 1, 2, 3, 4 sequence, you can easily fill in these boxes. Okay? Then slightly elaborated, 2 leading to 3 means 2 plus 1 equals to 3. So that's the example. So you can easily fill in this, 4 leading to 5. That's why 4 plus 1 equals to 5. So you can do this by yourself. All the kids can do it by yourself, okay, by themselves. So this kind of a very slow, step-by-step and repeating, reading examples, easy to decipher the logic, and then you undertake this problem solving. So that's a Kumon method. Okay? And Kumon has a whole range of step-by-step working sheet, starting from counting numbers, writing numbers, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So this whole process you can do by yourself. So that's a Kumon method. So now, having seen a general background of Kumon method of learning, I'd like to explain specific context in Bangladesh. So Bangladesh has largest NGO, probably largest globally NGO, one of the largest global NGO, BRAC. BRAC stands for, stands for BRAC Rural Advancement Committee, BRLC. But now this name is just BRAC. BRAC has been doing BRAC Primary School, BPS, for disadvantaged children. Those who never attended elementary school or those who drop out elementary school, BRAC has been doing this BPS, BRAC Primary School, as a non-formal bridging school. And accelerated curriculum, instead of spending 6 years, shorter years of curriculum, you finish whole range of elementary school. And then after finishing a BPS program, you enter to the public formal track. So that's the BPS. And the BPS is, BRAC has been doing lots of successful social sector interventions. The BPS is identified as one of the most successful BRAC's programs. Okay. But still, as we have seen, those who finish elementary education, a substantial proportion of students didn't really achieve a satisfactory numeracy and literacy. So BRAC Primary School also has this building up numeracy and literacy. So for numeracy, BRAC interested in to incorporate Kumon method of learning as a supplemental program. Okay? So in that context, Kumon and BRAC approached our team, and then we organized rigorous evaluation 10 years ago. Then we finished, and today I'd like to share with you some main program. So how to incorporate the BRAC primary school Kumon method learning? So those who are exposed or what we call treated students, they will take 30 minutes extra, learning program before the BPS main program. Kids come 30 minutes earlier and then spend 30 minutes to do a self-learning Kumon session. So that's the intervention we did. Yeah. And so you can see, kids working. Each person working on program sets, and each student has a different level of program set. Abstract setting. So this is a classroom, and students are sitting, and each student own level, different level, each customized level, working, self-learning working sheet. Then graders, two green graders are sitting in front. Okay? And once 10 program sets each student finish, he or she come to the front asking to grade. Okay? So, and then check the answers and repeat this until each student complete full bank of each program set. And then BRAC, so this is a little bit deviated from standard Kumon method, but Kumon classroom. But BRAC teachers just looking around. Okay? 30 minutes before the official curriculum starts, but the teacher come and just observe what's going on. Okay? Then how to rigorously evaluate. So we organize so-called RCT, randomized controlled trial of Kumon method of learning. So in Dhaka, Bangladesh, 179 BRAC primary school classroom exists in 4 Dhaka BRAC branches. So out of 179, we pick randomly 20 schools. So 34 schools. Okay? And each school has only one session. And one session, one classroom attended by 30 students. So our target is 34 schools, representative 34 schools, 30 students each, meaning that roughly 1,000 students. So 34 schools is randomly assigned to treatment 17 and another 17 control. So that's a randomized control trial. So that means 500 students in the treated 17 schools that are treatment students. And then another 500 students from 17 control school, that's a control student. Control student, they don't come earlier, okay? So they just attend the regular BRAC primary school. But the treated school, student come 30 minutes earlier, and every day do the Kumon, working sheet by themselves, okay? Each herself and himself. Then after 30 minutes, attend BRAC primary school regular curriculum. So there is a debate, actually, some criticism. These treated school students learn 30 minutes longer every day. So maybe quantity of learning can be attributable to our positive Kumon method of learning. We have some extended analysis why this is not so simple. And actually, indeed, we found the Kumon method impact. But because of time constraint, maybe if you have questions later, I can answer. So Bangladesh is a Muslim country, so Friday is official holiday. So besides Friday, 6 days a week, each treatment student join Kumon program. And then all the students attend a 6 days a week Black Primary School curriculum. And 8 months is starting from 2015 August until the end of March 2016. So 8 months is intervention. So we collected the baseline and end line. Then we compare what's the impact. Oh, and then of course we need a marking assistant sitting in front, and whenever a student finish working sheet, student come to the marking assistant and grading. So we need to hire 2 marking assistants in each school, and also field staff assigned, Kumon field staff assigned to support this program. And then training is provided to BPS teachers and field staff. We have cost-benefit analysis, but again, I don't have time to explain. So treatment student, in addition to this, problem solving, each day there is a record. Okay? So this is the date, and this is the level of working sheet, number of working sheet, time, how many minutes this working sheet is worked by this particular student. Each student has this record. Then 10 10 problems and 10 working sheet, and what's the score? Dot means 100% correct. And then you can see A here and the B here. A means 90%, B means 70 to 90%, etc., etc. So for those who join Kumon program, we have a daily, very detailed record of learning. So this is the score of daily record. And second paper, we use this. Okay. So first paper, as I said, August 2015, we started this intervention. 8 months later, end of March 2016, we corrected the end line. So we can compare treatment group, those who attend 8 months is 6 days a week over 8 months, 30 minutes Kumon classroom, versus without Kumon classroom. Okay. So and then after finishing this, 6 years later, we tracked all the students. Unfortunately, there are 2 unexpected exogenous environmental change. One is Bangladesh government started asking for biometric SIM card registration. So that really disturbed phone number. So phone number is the one important information to resurvey parents and students. But because of this registration, we couldn't follow up many students. The other one is because of the COVID-19, many students, because low-income community, low-income families, they are basically by nature very mobile. And COVID-19 pandemic really fueled this mobility. So we lost many students. But finally, we could contact 1/3, 300 or so parents out of 1,000 initially. And then we did the simple cognitive ability assessment and non-cognitive ability assessment and other data collection. So that's the follow-up. But first, let's see the original initial 8 months. So this is the result. DT stands for one type of particular type of cognitive test provided by Kumon, diagnosis test. So as I said, initially providing a test to pin down the level of math ability. And end line, we did the same thing. So we can compare before and after. Okay? Naturally, you can see there is a positive trend. But treatment students are much steeper. Another thing is speed. So we can also compare the speed. Speed is much faster for the treatment student. So Raw score improved, speed goes down, making faster. So unit per minute, ability of solving math really accelerated by Kumon method of learning. So we collected not only this math ability, but also non-cognitive ability by looking at RSES index, Rosenberg self-esteem scale, RSES, one of the very popular non-cognitive scale. And another one is CPCS index. I think, let me see, children's passive competency scale. So two non-cognitive scale we measure before and after. So test score, so these are the point estimate, difference between treatment score average and then control score average. What's the treatment effect? So so-called average treatment effect on the treated or average treatment effect. So we see, and this is a sigma. So 0.5 or so sigma systematic improvement if kids attend the Kumon classroom every day. Okay? And time to solve dramatically cut. So per minute gain is like 2 sigma. So this is really strong impact. And Kumon provides another cognitive test called the PTS2C score. And also we can compare before and after. So, and then this is like a 0.7, 0.8 sigma. So actually raw score improvement is like a range between 0.5 to 0.8. So this is substantial. But if we consider speed, actually really a substantial gain. Non-cognitive ability, you didn't observe. Overall positive, but it's not statistically significant. However, we address heterogeneous impact. Maybe initially higher cognitive ability, non-cognitive ability, positive, or vice versa, the lower cognitive and non-cog. So we did a number of heterogeneous impact assessment, and we found, so this is the result focusing on the low initial cognitive, below median initial cognitive ability test score, and also low initial non-cognitive, below median initially. So these people has a positive 0.5 sigma, 0.3 sigma improvement in non-cognitive ability. So this implies that Kumon method somehow building up non-cognitive ability, not only math solving capacity, but also some type of self-esteem and self-discipline, this type. Actually, Kumon method of learning, you have to come every day, right? And you have to sit, and you have to do repeatedly. But as I said, everyone can get full mark. So that feeling of success seems to be affecting lower, children, stronger than higher children. Maybe cognitively or non-cognitively lower students, they never felt that way. So that's why this shows the positive. When I was a third grader and fourth grader, I hate this because of you have to come regularly and you have to sit. You have to do repeatedly until you get the full mark. But now I realize this really nurtures your non-cognitive ability, self-discipline, self-esteem. So this is what we call it catching up effect. Actually, initially lagging behind students, they build up your feeling of confidence, and then non-cognitive ability actually leading to, we have some product of estimation. Non-cognitive ability is a building block for cognitive ability. So actually non-cognitive ability works as a catching up effect. So final byproduct we found is quite interesting. As I said, Black primary school teachers just observing Kumon classroom. Okay? So we ask black primary school teachers, treatment school and non-treatment school, treatment classroom, non-treatment control classroom, everyone, to ask students' ranking of cognitive ability. Okay? Then we have data subjective teacher's assessment. We have objective data from this assessment test. So this distance, absolute distance, we measure, like teachers sort of cognitive bias, when evaluating a particular student, each student. So how this cognitive bias or stereotyping bias of a student, how that affected by treatment. So we ran this. We found negative. Negative means this stereotyping bias or subjective bias is mitigated by Kumon method of learning. So that this is another unexpected byproduct of the Kumon method from our data. So 10 minutes or 5 minutes? 10 minutes? Yeah, 5 minutes. So I finished the main part, but now I'd like to provide you two additional results, study results. One is about the peer effects, and then third one is about the COVID-19. So peer effect, as I said, Kumon program, students sitting like this, and then working individually, right? So once student finish 10 working sheets, this student go in front to the marking assistant, asking for marking 10 sheets. At this moment, other student can aware, oh, that student finished. So we measure how that affects the other students, okay? And particularly each day, fastest student, the number one student, how many minutes it's gonna take from a starting of the Kumon program to very first fastest student finish and go to the grading assistant. So we analyze this. Okay? Results are very striking. If fastest student is faster, then everyone finishing 10 become faster. Positive peer effect. Okay? And fastest to the faster than median student, also positive. Okay? But those who are very slow, fastest student finish 10 sheets and then go to the grading assistant. But slow students still working on the second one or third one. He or she may see, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm very slow. This guy is fast. But half of the students finish and go to the grading marking assistant, then that may put the pressure on the slower than median students. Actually, indeed, we found this. Okay? So speed seems to be generate positive peer effects. Okay? Sorry, this is a median to slower median. So actually, if half of the students finish, then very slow student seems to be, concentrate and try to finish, faster. So there is a positive peer effect in terms of speed. You may think this may sacrifice the achievement. So actually, we can check the speed. Actually, fastest student time will negatively affect the test score. That means if a fastest student is shorter, much faster, then everyone's test score goes up significantly. So actually, rather than sacrificing accuracy of solving math, fastest students' performance in terms of speed seems to generate some atmosphere, or everyone should seriously finish and concentrate then overall performance seems to be better. So this one is main message of second paper. Actually titled Haste makes no waste. So haste makes waste, right? But actually, according to our result, Kumon program makes no waste. Okay, rather, put some interesting atmosphere. The final paper, we investigate COVID closure. So 2016 March, we finish intervention. Then 6 years later, we track students. What's going to happen? Okay. Because 1 year or 8 months later, we found positive cognitive impact and also lower initial achiever, positive on non-cognitive. Okay. So that's a short term, 8 months. Then after 6 years, what's going to happen? So this is the outcome: school attendance, treatment control, school attendance, grade repetition, dropout, tutoring, engagement in tutoring, having tutoring, self-study, continuation, math test score, no difference. But we found these cognitive abilities is positive, persistent. Of course, because of difficulty of tracking, we track only 1 quarter. 3 quarters of a student we lost. So there is a so-called selection bias because trackable students and non-trackable students, this assignment is not random. There are some systematic relationship. So we did a series of sample selection bias collection, proficiency score matching, and probability weight regression analysis, and so-called rebounds. We found the math test score doesn't have a really positive permanent effect. However, RSES and CPCS score seems to be consistently positive. So non-cognitive ability seems to be persistent. Non-cognitive ability acquired by Kumon. In spite of this COVID-19 closure. So, and then we found particularly high top 50% student, this non-cognitive ability continued. Our interpretation is a so-called summer learning loss. There is a literature, before the summer break, students learn lots of math, right? But once entering the summer break, 1 month or 2 months, forget how to solve the math. So that's called the summer learning loss. So cognitive ability may be like that. So you learn Kumon method learning and how to solve the math, and even faster speed. However, during the COVID-19 closure and after the Kumon program finished, you don't use math every day. You don't use math. So you forget this, math solving capacity. However, non-cognitive ability is like self-discipline, self-esteem. Daily life, there are lots of decisions you do, washing clothes, washing hands, and cleaning, etc. That will reinforce what you acquire through a Kumon method learning in terms of a non-cognitive ability. So that's our potential interpretation. Because summer learning loss, there is no persistent cognitive ability, but non-cognitive ability seems to be persistent because of daily life, the affirmation of non-cognitive ability. So wrapping up, short run, we have cognitive ability improvement in Kumon classroom. And maybe one important mechanism is through a classroom very particular environment of competition. Non-cognitive ability seems to seems to be created by Kumon method in both in short run and long run in different segments of students. And then teacher assessment ability seems to improve. Yeah. So after all, we started talking about the teaching at the right level. You need a good teacher, even in a rural area. One school teacher, one teacher school. But Kumon method learning, you don't need a good teacher. It's a self-learning. And then long-term impact of RCTs. Also, this is the one of the few emerging studies trying to investigate what's the long-lasting effects from initial RCTs. So, individual self-learning intervention seems to have some particular benefit in nurturing students' capacity. So I'd like to stop here. Thank you very much.